Hey, what's happening? It's Cynthia Loren. So, ways to really raise your vibration. It's so important to raise your vibration because you feel so much better and then you feel fresher and everything. So, I want to share my morning routine to raise your vibration. So, first thing I do is I wake up and I would meditate. And the best time to meditate is between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. Well, ideally it's 4 a.m. to 6 a.m., but 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. is a-okay. Reason being is there isn't a lot of people, especially now, that are awake during that time. So there's something called collective consciousness. When people are awake, they have certain sort of frequency that they send out. When they're asleep, those frequency are dormant. So they're still sending out frequency. I'm not saying they're not. But the frequency is way lower. It's like way lower. So when you wake up between the time from 4 a.m. to about 7 a.m., basically you're by yourself. Like you hone your own energy. So when you wake up, and you're also changing brainwave too. From theta wave is when you're asleep, and alpha wave is when you're like really in meditation, delta too. But anyway, there are different brainwaves that you go through. And when we wake up, we're transitioning to that brainwave, which is like we're in a dream state, we're very absorbent, and all that stuff. So it's really easy to want to manifest anything, you know. If we want to manifest anything, that is the time to do it. So when you wake up, why do I meditate? When you wake up, when you meditate, you clear everything from your head. So you're starting fresh. So, and also you get to see where your thoughts are going, and you get to concentrate on something. And something called pranayama, I'm a yoga teacher, so pranayama is very important. It's the control of breath. So I would get up, meditate, and then I would control my breath. Through breath work, you can actually focus your mind on something. And then ideas will come, inspiration would come. That is my time to actually get inspiration, to get my sequence, to get my day ready, and all that stuff. And the second thing I would do is I start hopping into this really cold shower, which is really interesting. Even Yogananda, the author of Autobiography of a Yogi, he was talking about how cold shower is extremely great to renew your energy, and also it is amazing for your pores. It wakes you up. There's like so many good benefits from taking a really, really cold shower. So I took a really cold shower, and I advise, if you're going to try this, start taking a warm shower and then like slowly turn the tap into cooler water, so you're not like extremely like whoa. And while you're in the cold shower, you're not supposed to scream and act all dramatic and all that stuff. Just stay in the shower and start breathing, because if you just keep reacting to it, it defeats the cold shower. It's supposed to train your willpower, right? When you tell people about taking a cold shower, first thing they would think of is like, oh boy, this is terrible, like it's going to shock me. Well, it's supposed to shock you. The cold shower is supposed to shock you. So if you can do a cold shower, you can basically do anything. Because it is a little bit jolting. I'm not going to say it's the most enjoyable thing in the world or anything like that. But at the same time, it isn't painful, and by doing it, you train your willpower. And in order to raise your vibration, you needed to go level by level. So shame, fear, guilt, and then anger. Anger is actually above shame, fear, and guilt, because now you're no longer thinking you're unworthy. You're thinking you're worthy, but then now you're angry. Once you get to angry, you know, you get to reasoning. You reason with yourself like, oh, you know, maybe I shouldn't do this, maybe I should do this, and all that stuff. Once you rise above that, then you get into like love, you know. Once you get into love, you get into like peace, joy, happiness, enlightenment, and it goes step by step. Now, from my own experience, I skipped several steps. And the reality, the universe will always echo it back to you, because you need to work through everything within yourself to actually level up. This world is actually a school of leveling, so you need to level up. And I'll talk a little bit about that in my next video, about leveling up and all that stuff, the school of learning. And the third thing I would do is I would either pick up a book that I really, really think it's high vibe and I love, and it would actually raise my vibration just by like reading it. Books that I recommend is there's this book called No Limits. It is amazing. It talks about blowing the cap off of your potential. Don't put a cap on it. That's how he describes it. It's like a bottle. It's infinite. Your potential is infinite, but then people cap it. So then you never really get to explosion of talents or things that you want to do. Second book that I recommend is Autobiography of a Yogi, which is just amazing. And it talks about Yogananda, his experience. It talks about levitating saints. It talks about a saint that doesn't eat, she absorbs sunlight and she's very connected to source, which is the universal energy, and all that stuff. So it's really high vibe. So when you read that, it raises your vibration. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel optimistic. It makes you feel like anything can happen. And the reason I said you must meditate in the morning as your daily routine, even for 5 minutes, like 5 to 10 minutes, even if you do that every day, you will start clearing up your energy, and then you'll start really feeling inspired, because now nothing is cluttering you. The worst thing you can do in the morning is look at your phone. If you have an alarm, I totally understand that, but know that there's an inner alarm. Before you go to bed, if you tell yourself, not in a nervous way, or a commanding way, you tell yourself, I want to wake up at 5 or 6 a.m. in the morning because I have some exciting stuff to do, such as meditation, such as reading this book I really love, enjoying this chai and all that stuff. Trust me, your brain will wake you up before the alarm rings. It always does that. I teach morning yoga classes sometimes, and I set my alarm. Don't mistake me. I do set my alarm, but I always wake up 5 minutes before the alarm. Always. Or like half an hour before the alarm. And then I look outside and the sun's up. So when you wake with the sun, there's a certain thing that you do for yourself is it signifies the natural rhythm of us when we wake up with the sun. Sunlight is the purest form of energy. So when you do that, you get some sun, 20 minutes of sun in the morning while you meditate. It's so beneficial. It ups your immune system, it raises your vibration, and it just makes you feel so good, right? So these are my morning routines, and after that, either I would teach a class, or either I would ride on my bicycle, or either I would do some yoga. I do various things, or record a video, or draw, or paint, or do whatever that I feel like doing. But I always have something that I've written down the night before. What am I going to do the day after? So have some set points. When you have set points, it's not like you're driving endlessly. You have a destination you're going, and you know where you're going, and you have certain stops that you want to stop, like pit stops. Of course, maybe you're driving and suddenly before that pit stop, you saw something and you're like, hey, it'd be really cool to bask in it, to have some fun and everything. So you go and you do that, but you do remember those pit stops. You won't forget it because you have set them there. It's a set point, right, on your GPS in your car. Think about it that way. When you're driving endlessly and you don't have an aim, that's what happens to most people. When they get the momentum going, get the momentum going. When you get the momentum going, start doing things, set it in action. You don't have to set it in tremendous action, like every day I need to do something that's just burdens me. It's not about that. It's about doing things that you love to do, and it doesn't feel like a burden. It might feel uncomfortable to do it every day. When you start, it feels like, oh, I don't know, or because you're stepping out of your comfort zone, And by meditating, you'll clear some of those confusions out. That's why my first thing in the morning, my routine is meditation. It's so important. Meditation is the key because it brings you to a level of neutrality. You must get to a point of neutrality in order to raise to the upper vibrations. You must learn to observe your thoughts and not react to it and not be so responsive to everything. That's why the TV program, that's what's called TV program. It programs your head. It's TV program, right? So whatever you watch, if you're watching reality shows or shows that get you like, oh my god, like reacting and people yelling at each other and all that stuff, then it primes your head into thinking that is reality, that is normal, that is normal. So then you started reacting that way because you programmed yourself that way. Know that there's a big connection between the conscious and the subconscious. Okay, so the conscious is when you're consciously making a decision, you're looking at things, you're absorbing. Now, a repeated thought turns into a belief. That's what a belief is. It's a repeated thought, and then you think it's reality. You put it into your system. It's your reality. So what happens is your subconscious takes that and files it away. So next time when thing comes up, it's like, oh, okay, automatically it comes out. That's why it's called the autopilot mind. So sometimes when you do things, suddenly you just spring into action. Let's say, okay, you're walking in a traffic, right? You're just like standing in New York City. I'm in New York, so standing in New York City, and all of a sudden, there's a car coming. You won't look at the red and green sign to cross. You would automatically know to jump out of the way. You don't need any reasoning to be like, well, I probably should jump out of the way or else this car is going to crash into me, and then when it crashes into me, then I need to go to the hospital, and then I go to the hospital, maybe I'll survive, maybe I don't. You don't think that. You just jump out of the way. Why is that? Because we have programmed, most of us has programmed ourselves to react like that upon this kind of situation. Because we have taught that if a car comes, jump out of the way. And we have seen if a car comes and you are in the way, the car wins. It will crash you and you will get injured. This is in our subconscious already. So automatically the brain does it for you, the mind does it for you. That's why it's an amazing mechanism. If you know how to use it correctly, it's a really fine-tuned piece of instrument. Think about it that way. So whatever you're watching, listening, or anything, if it's not vibrating in a high vibrational way, it keeps you asleep. It keeps you in that low vibrational state. That's why gossip is very terrible. Gossip is one of the worst things you can do because and jealousy. So gossip is when you say things about other people. So what does that say about you? You're focusing your energy on other people. What you focus on is what you will manifest in your reality. And other people are a reflection of us. Think about us as a mirror. If your mirror is distorted, anything that shines on your mirror that reflects back to you will be distorted. But now if your mirror is clear, you can see clearly. Just like a lake. If the lake is clear, you can see through it. You can see exactly what's underneath. When it's muddled, your imagination goes. Is there an eel down there? Is there a shark down there? Is there something down there like a monster? I don't know. And then it evokes fear. Maybe some curiosity and all that stuff. So you need to really clear that thought. And also jealousy. Jealousy is like one of my Swamiji that I listened to. He was saying, gossip is like taking the poison yourself and hoping that this other person die. This is ridiculous. So don't be jealous of other people. You should be happy that a version of yourself is actually doing really well. And the probability of them doing well, because they can do well, you can also do well. If one person can do it, you can also do it. It's a proof that you can also do it. They're not so different from you, right? That's why people say be fearful of meeting your idol because you might be disappointed or something like that. It's because when you meet them, because your expectation is like, oh my gosh, they're going to be like Superman or Superwoman. But meanwhile, when you meet them, they're just like people like you and me who really are doing their passion, and that's why we are also rooting for them because they're rooting for themselves. People will only react to you the way you react to yourself. So self-talk is one of the ways to do reverse engineering. Reverse engineering is a mind management process and technique to reverse and unlearn the things that you have accumulated as starter data. I'm writing a book, and in my book, there's something called starter data. Starter data is when you're growing up, It's whatever beliefs and other things that other people told you, so you absorbed it thinking it's real. The purpose of that is to get you started on something. Just like imagine you're playing a game. They always start you with an avatar of not your choosing. And then when you play the game second time, or when you go into the game a little bit more, then it's like, hey, option. Do you want to change your avatar? And then if you say, yeah, sure, I want to customize my avatar, you can change the hair, you can change the face, change the body shape and all that. Meanwhile, if you never click on the menu, you never knew that you can change your avatar. You would just keep playing the game, and you're like, hey, I don't really like this avatar, but oh well, there's nothing I can do about it. And because you think that, you would never see it. You will not perceive things that you're not vibrating with. You can only tune, let's say, if you want to tune into 93.5 FM, you need to actually tune it to that, or else you won't hear it. If you need to hear 95.5 FM, you need to tune your radio signal to that to get the signal. But then if you're on 101 FM, you want to hear 95.5 FM, it's impossible because you won't hear it. Does that mean it doesn't exist? No, it exists. You just don't hear it because you're not tuning to it. So my advice to you is always meditate. When you wake up early and meditate, and when you go to bed if you can. The going to bed part is a little bit more difficult, especially if you live with your parents or your spouses or friends or something, because it always ended up, I feel like, it's always ended up like they try to get you to spend some time with them, and getting yourself to focus enough to meditate right before bed, it's a little challenging. But at the same time, it's very powerful. If you can do that, it is extremely powerful. And what you do before bed, sometimes I do that. I definitely meditate in the morning, but I would sometimes meditate before bed. And I'm trying to get into the habit to actually doing that too. Is when you sit and meditate before bed, take away everything that is not you. That means your friends, family, beliefs, anything. And if you want, you can do a little bit of a clearing of your data, clearing of your head for the day, where you sit and then you just let thoughts go, and then you observe it to see, okay, so this is what my mind is generating, and then discern. Be like, well, I don't really agree with that, nor do I like it, nor agree with it. That sounds my buddy drinking water. Agree with it, or anything like that, then you can just let it go. Know that other people have their own opinion, and those opinions might not match up with yours. Therefore, it disturbs your frequency, disturbs your feel. So you might go, well, someone says something to me, I don't really like it, so it jolted me a little bit. But at the same time, know that everybody is doing their best on their journey, and everybody's journey is different. So therefore, you have to focus, keep your focus on your own being, on your own journey. Don't be a cameo in other people's movie. Don't just stick in there and be like, hey, I'm just going to be an extra in your movie because I'm not worthy. It's all about, when the society brought us up, it's all about, are you worthy? Let's prove, are you worthy? You don't have to prove anything. All you have to do is be yourself. And probability is, if you be yourself, people will probably like you more. You might think, oh, if I don't do this and people won't like me, then those aren't your tribe anyway. There's no point of, again, like the book No Limits, to cap your potential. There's no point of that. It just causes more suffering. And the whole point of this game, we signed up for this human experience as divine being, is infinite source. We acquired this body, this avatar. We signed up for this journey because then now we can experience as human beings. We can think, we can discern, we can choose our adventure. If we want to go into a car and start driving, we can do that. If we want to have a piece of cake, we can also do that. Without a body, we can't have this sensory pleasure also. And there's certain things that we just won't be able to experience if you don't have a body. When we didn't have a body, we can just manifest anything just comes true, but it's way too easy. We wanted to do something else, and that's why we came to this planet, to do something. So follow your passion. That will put you into the most high vibrational state. Meditate, meditate, meditate. So I'll end you with that. Namaste, thank you so much. And please meditate because it's so helpful. And once you start meditating, you'll just love it so much that you just go like, whoa, I just want to meditate. So, namaste.